Hey everybody, thanks for jumping online with me tonight for the Midweek Moment. And I hope you're having a good week. Hope you're having a good day. Man, I tell you, it's been a good week for me. I feel productive. I'm just walking in the goodness of the Lord and excited about what God's doing. Getting up every day with joy in my heart and just loving what I do for Jesus. Tonight we're going to jump back into the book of Philippians chapter 3. And the subject tonight is Contenders and Pretenders. You know, there's a difference between a contender and a pretender. In 2018, the Houston Rockets basketball team was playing the New Orleans Pelicans basketball team. And there was a gentleman seated at courtside, and he had the same outfit on that the players had on. And they were out there warming up and stretching and taking shots, and so he stepped right out onto the court. And he's out there, this is on video, he's out there and he's stretching, and you could tell by the way he's stretching that he really wasn't an athlete. And then finally he was calling for the basketball, he shot the basketball, and you could immediately tell when he shot the basketball, he wasn't an NBA player. What was the difference? He was a pretender. And immediately security came and ushered him off the court. Paul is talking about contenders and pretenders. Let's pick it up in chapter 3, verse number 17. Dear brothers and sisters, pattern your lives after mine, and learn from those who follow our example. For I've told you often before, and I will say it again with tears in my eyes, that there are many whose conduct shows that they are really enemies of the cross of Jesus. Paul is talking about pretenders. And notice here that he's weeping. He talks about weeping. Now, he's not weeping because he's in a Roman jail. He's not weeping because of his uncomfortable and life-threatening circumstances. He's weeping because he knows there are people out there who are pretending to be followers of Jesus, who are pretending to know the Lord, but they really don't know him. So he compares in these verses what a contender looks like and what a pretender looks like. First of all, he spoke about citizenship. In verse number 20, he said, our citizenship, contenders, those who really know the Lord, our citizenship is in heaven. In 2013, there was a book written called A Man Without a Country. And the book documents the life of Lieutenant Philip Nolan. He was a soldier who cursed and renounced his country. And because he cursed and renounced his country, they stripped him of his citizenship. And his punishment was that he would spend the rest of his life at sea. Think about that. He would never put his feet on American soil again, but spend the rest of his life and take his last breath at sea. It's a terrible thing when you don't have a country. It's a terrible thing when you don't have citizenship. Now for us, we have citizenship as United States citizen, or maybe you're a citizen of Jamaica, or maybe you're a citizen of Italy, or maybe you're a citizen of Colombia. But when you're a believer, you have dual citizenship. You have citizenship in the country, and you have citizenship in heaven. Think about that. We have citizenship not only here in the U.S., but we have citizenship in heaven. And Jesus emphasized the importance of citizenship even to his disciples. In Luke chapter 10, verse number 20, he said, nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that spirits or demons are subject to you, but rejoice that your names are recorded in heaven. So Jesus reminded his disciples about the importance of having citizenship in heaven. Not just a citizenship as a Hebrew or a citizenship as a Roman citizen, but having your citizenship in heaven, having your name written down in the Lamb's book of life. So regardless of what's going on in this crazy world, and it is crazy, regardless of all of the fighting and all of the divisiveness and all of the violence that are happening, we need to remember something very important. As a contender, you have citizenship in heaven. And our time on earth is just passing through, okay? This is not the final destination. We are passing through. So Paul said the difference between a contender for the faith and a pretender of the faith is one has citizenship in heaven and the other doesn't. Then he talks about conduct. And conduct is important because as citizens, we have certain rights, but we also have responsibilities. We should behave in a certain way. In verse 18, again, for I've told you often before, and I'll say it again with tears in my eyes, that there are many whose conduct shows that they are really enemies of the cross. They are headed for destruction. Their God is their appetite. They brag about shameful things, and they think only about life here on earth. So Paul doesn't hold back at all. Paul puts these people on blast. I mean, he's literally calling the pretenders out. Earlier in chapter 3, verse number 2, he called them dogs. He's saying these religious leaders, these pretenders, these legalists who are preaching a different gospel, they're dogs. And he said they don't have citizenship. And he talks here about their mind. He talks here about their attitude. He talks here about their behavior. And he said they're so focused and self-absorbed. When we're citizens of heaven, we're not self-absorbed. We're absorbed with the things of God. We're absorbed with Jesus. We're absorbed with our citizenship. And not just the rights, and we have a lot of rights as citizens, but our responsibility as citizens. And just as Jesus addressed citizenship, he also called out these same kinds of people. He also addressed this pretender kind of thing. In Matthew chapter 12, verse 34, here's how he refers to these people. He said, "You brood of snakes, how could evil men like you speak what is good and right? For whatever is in your heart determines what you say." Now watch this. A good person produces good things from the treasury of a good heart. And an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of an evil heart. So Jesus, again, like Paul, puts the pretenders on blast. Paul called them dogs. Jesus called them snakes. How many know if they were around today, they'd be canceled? You can't call people those kind of names. Well, they did, and those names fit exactly the lifestyle and the behavior that these people were conducting. So you don't have to be around people very long to know what's in their heart. You don't have to be around people very long to hear what comes out of their mouth, because what's ever in our heart, according to Jesus, comes out of our mouth. And whatever is in our heart determines our behavior. So again, the difference between contenders and pretenders is the citizenship in heaven and how they conduct their life, how they manage their life. So here's really the takeaway. Paul says that these people are enemies of the cross. Wow, enemies of the cross. When you're an enemy of the cross, you're an enemy of Jesus. Jesus came to die on a cross. The cross represents the gospel. And if people deny the cross, if people don't want to talk about the cross, if people are ashamed of the cross, then they're really not citizens of heaven. Okay? If you renounce the cross, you're just like Philip Nolan. You've renounced your country. All right? And then he says their God is their appetite. When he says appetite, he's not talking about physical hunger. He's talking about gratification. He's talking about sensual hunger. He's talking about immorality and those types of things. And then he says their shamelessness is their glory. And then last of all, their destiny is their destruction. Just like Philip Nolan, he ended up dying at sea. And those people who are pretenders, who deny the cross, who are just going through the motions, they're not going to end up in heaven. We need to rejoice. We need to be grateful that our citizenship is in heaven, and we need to conduct our lives in such a way. So let's spend the rest of the week, the rest of the month, the rest of the year, and the rest of our lifetime rejoicing and keeping in mind that our citizenship is in heaven, and carrying out our life in such a way that we elevate the cross and we elevate Jesus every opportunity that we have. Hope you have a great week. I'll see you on Sunday. Take care.